Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And man, oh man, boys and girls, I'm absolutely a DC fanboy. Obviously, y'all know that. I've said this a million times around here before. And at the end of the day, I love me everything and all things good DC. And Injustice was definitely a lot of fun. Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 were a great time out there. Some of the comic book stories were a lot of fun to read as well. And a lot of fans were wondering when we are going to get another one out there. And obviously, Warner Brothers Games out there has had a very rough go over the last couple of years. They've had some absolutely smashing successes out there with like Hogwarts Legacy, but then they've also had some massive failures out there with like the the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League and all of that kind of stuff out there. So it's one of them situations where they've had some great wins, but they've also had some very big losses. And obviously, a lot of those losses have caused them to drastically reduce the size of their studio out there. We've seen massive amounts of layoffs. You've heard a lot about game cancellations. We've seen entire closures of studios out there because at the end of the day, boys and girls, when you try a bunch of new things and they don't work, sometimes you simply have to go back to basics. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if this latest rumor is true, which according to the source actually comes from one of the voice actors from Injustice, well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, fans may not have to wait very long for an Injustice 3 getting to conclude, potentially, the storyline from the first two games. And I, for one, ladies and gentlemen, could not absolutely wait because this would be a lot of fun. I love streaming my video games with you guys. I love talking about all this kind of stuff with you guys, going over these things, going through the storylines, and experiencing with them with you guys as well. So this would be a game that would be a lot of fun with this. Also, it'd be a lot of fun to be able to get other players together, and so we could do tournaments and have all kinds of stuff like this if it ends up being true. And boys and girls, Cosmic Book News has a very reliable track record of being accurate. And although this isn't a scoop directly from Matt himself, he's got a very good track record of showing how things like this turn out to be true, especially when you see this kind of backlash and this kind of reaction online. Because boys and girls, they are already trying to bury this rumor because as we always know, Warner Brothers leaks like an absolute sieve. And maybe they're trying to correct that for the future. I don't know, but it sounds like, boys and girls, we very well may be getting Injustice 3. So we're going to check this article from cosmicbook.news, getting all of the juicy details of exactly what's going on. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100. We're sailing our way towards 100,000, and I could not do that without every single one of you. I think we're sitting at like 2,178 or something like that. Also, let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Do you have some wonderful memories of your times playing through Injustice 1 and 2? Are you excited to see an Injustice 3? Or do you think 1 and 2 were enough and they kind of burned you out and you don't think they can really do anything new with them? Do you think this rumor very likely would end up being true considering the state of Warner Brothers games at this time and how Injustice 3 would absolutely be a win for them especially after all the abysmal DC versions of games we've gotten over the last few years? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. In order to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from cosmicbook.news and our dear sweet Matt McGloin. Injustice 3 claimed to be in the works from Superman voice actor. Yes, boys and girls. And I mean, if anybody would know, because that's one of the things they do across the video game industry out there. And just like, I mean, honestly, this is true for any kind of entertainment out there, whether it be movies, television shows, or video games, right? It's one of them situations where you don't want to have to change actors, right? People are used to seeing them, or in this case, used to hearing them, and doing something like that will absolutely, completely, and totally throw us off. Obviously, shout out and rest in peace to the absolutely legendary Kevin Conroy, who is and always will be the most iconic and quintessential voice of Batman. Unfortunately, we won't be getting him back for any games in the future. That sucks. But needless to say, we will always be able to go back and enjoy his stuff. Hopefully all the guys coming afterwards can at least do a good job. Injustice 3 may, and honestly, if somebody comes in and just completely and totally mimics and like replicates Kevin Conroy's Batman voice perfectly, I'm totally okay with that as well. Injustice 3 may be in the works, as word comes from a fan that Superman voice actor George Newbern has confirmed he is working on the game. However, following the fan tweeting about meeting the actor at Fan Expo Canada, the fan is now pulling back on the claim, as he's apparently receiving heat from other fans for leaking the info. Now, mind you, this was in Canada as well, right? That's not exactly a place where the American ideal and honestly the freedom and Western civilization ideal of freedom of speech is so paramount, right? It used to be back in the day, hey man, why are you talking like that? Freedom of speech, dude. Remember those days, right? We can say what we want. We can do what we want, right? Go all that kind of stuff out there. This is one of those things that's not as ingrained in other cultures as it is in the United States, in case some of you weren't aware of that by what we see going on in the United Kingdom right now. So this is the really funny part about this. If George Newbern really told the fan he is working on Injustice 3, it's not a leak. The fan has the full right to tweet about what Newbern has said and his experience meeting the actor. That is to be expected. If Newbern wasn't supposed to tell the fan about Injustice 3, that's on Newbern. And since we haven't seen any kind of official announcement come from Warner Brothers Games or DC in general, then that actually makes complete and total sense that they wouldn't want this kind of information to get out there. But once again, that's on Newbern and just absolute literal shade on anybody out there that's going after this guy for literally just putting out there to the world the information that he was told. Okay, that's on Newbern for the leak, not on this kid. Right? Not on this fan. All right? You don't want to do that? Keep a better stranglehold on your voice actors, on your actors in general, and tell them to keep their mouth shut. I don't know, maybe apply some penalties to things out there if they leak information out. Maybe that'll change their tune on a few things out there. But at the end of the day, if anybody gave this kid any kind of heat out there, well, boys and girls, I got this funny feeling at some point you're going to end up getting exactly what you deserve. Because we've seen that happen time and time again, after all. I can recall a similar situation happened with the late Peter David, who told a fan a new season was happening for Young Justice. When I wrote about it, i.e. cosmicbook.news, Peter David blew up. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, achoo! Woo! Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't edit my videos out, so that sneeze is going to stay in there. Enjoy, and hopefully drop me a God bless you in the comments section down below out there. I can recall a similar situation happened with the late Peter David, who told the fan a new season was happening for Young Justice. When I wrote about it, Peter David blew up and denied it. Well, a new season for Young Justice happened. So more than likely, boys and girls, because history doesn't just repeat itself, it also rhymes, we're probably going to see the exact same thing happen here, because once again, we're seeing the exact same kind of reaction. I'd love to get some of this heat in my comment section. It would do so much for the algorithm after all. Lord, grant me your blessings with all of the crazings down below. Let's see, where'd we go right there? That's exactly the kind of situation we happen. George Newbern currently working on Justice 3. So last Saturday, the fan tweeted, yesterday, I finally met my favorite voice for Superman, George Newbern. I was telling him he's the definitive as the voice for me and how much I loved the game Multiverse. I loved it too. My wife and I played it extensively during the beta. We absolutely loved it. It sucks that game didn't hit a mainstream appeal like what Marvel Rivals has, but that's kind of what happens when you try to do a Super Smash Brothers clone and you're not as exactly good at it as you were. But needless to say, that game had potential. It just didn't get enough love. I think the marketing was really poor on that game, truth be told as well. It was a lot of fun. And that's not just me as a fan of the game coping. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's one of them situations where we loved that game and it was a good time. I love the DC universe. I love a lot of the characters Warner Brothers has. It's just the way things are. So I love that as well. So in my response to the Multiverse comment, he told me he's currently working on Injustice 3. #Superman. Now, obviously, he tagged George in this. So it would not surprise me whatsoever if George himself reached out to this kid and told him to keep his mouth shut about things out there, because now George is going to get in trouble. It sounds like George may be covering his own butt, and considering he's a Hollywood guy out there, because yes, voice actors, you're just an actor. You do an acting and animation just as much as you do a video game. So yes, you fall under Hollywood. You also fall under their literal union. So yes, you're Hollywood people out there. But at the end of the day, it's another Hollywood actor out there trying to do a CYA. If I'm accurate, that's just common nerd speculation after all, boys and girls. The news of Injustice 3 possibly happening has since picked up a lot of steam, and the fan tweeted earlier today, I want to apologize to everyone. I gave the wrong impression here about this. But this isn't a leak or what I meant. I think I got caught up in the heat of the moment and was making a guess off of what he said. My mistake. I worded this incorrectly. My apologies. Now, if that truly was the case and he didn't just get heat from, I don't know, even Brandon himself out there, right? The actual voice actor, George Newbern, right? If Brendan didn't get actual heat from George himself, well, then why, Brendan, don't you tell us exactly what George said that you misinterpreted? Well, that's absent from the tweet, boys and girls. So which way do we think all of this has actually been? Methinks I know which direction this is going to go. This isn't the first time Injustice 3 has been said to be in development. Leaks from back in 2021 revealed Warner Brothers was working on a new game titled called Injustice 3 God's Will Fall. And like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if we've heard about this. We know Warner Brothers leaks like a sieve, right? So you might as well pretty much, if it comes from a reliable source like Matt McGloin over at CosmicBook.news or Sil Abdul over there with his stuff out there, like you can pretty much take it to the bank because Warner Brothers is that leaky. So now we know it's not just that the game is already in development. Now we know that they are far enough along that the voice actor is currently doing his lines for it. Now, I don't know this is a whole lot about how video game development works. I don't know if this is something that happens early on in the development process or this is something that they wait until a later date. I'd imagine you'd wait until a later date because you want to have all your scenes done and all of that kind of stuff, and especially your story done and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I have no idea. Never done it before, don't know. I'd never claimed to be any expert at all. I am just a humble common nerd after all. Jack of all trades, master of none, but sometimes better than a master of one. Nerd, right? So it's one of them situations out there like that would make sense to me, at least from a timeline perspective, right? But at the end of the day, that all makes sense. This all lines up that what this kid said is absolutely true. That what this guy told him is absolutely accurate, right? And now the voice actor reaches out to the kid and goes, "Oh, dude. I'm not supposed to tell anybody that. I was just between me and you." Now the backtrack. There are even claims that the story follows Superman taking over the world with Batman leading the rebellion, which honestly makes sense with the Injustice stuff out there. So at the end of the day, boys and girls, technically this is a rumor, right? Technically, take this with a grain of salt, just like every other rumor out there that we've seen for a very long time. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, this is something that pretty much every single rumor we've gotten out of Warner Brothers for the past 3-4 years that we've been covering this stuff. Shout out to those who have been here since the old channel. Like literally, this is something that's happened. Almost every single rumor that we've covered from Cosmic Book News when it comes to Warner Brothers has all come to fruition, right? It's how we knew Henry Cavill was coming back as Superman in the Black Adam movie. It's how we knew all of this stuff was going on. It's how we knew that the end of all of this kind of stuff was happening and everything else. We knew early on about James Gunn. We knew early on about all of the casting rumors of who was gonna end up being Superman, who was all in the final runnings. Like we knew all of this stuff going up for it. So why would this be any different out there, boys and girls? Me personally, this is just your humble common nerd's opinion on this whole situation out there. It sounds like the voice actor here let a cat out of the bag, right? George let the cat out of the bag and told Brendan what was going on. Because you know what? He's a fan. And George wants to make the fans happy, which is good. He's like, oh, if you loved me as that, right? If you love me as that, don't worry, buddy. I got something cooking for you. You're going to get to see me again very, very soon. So get excited, get hyped, because you are going to want to get Injustice 3 day one, right? That's what you want to do, right? That's what you want to do. You want to get fans excited. You want to get fans hyped up. But we also know that loose lips sink ships. So these people get in trouble. You're not supposed to have official announcements. Official announcements are supposed to come from the marketing team and from the executives and all that kind of stuff, right? So they can do their big splash and yada, yada, yada. So it's like, oh, it's so shocking to the world. Oh my God, Injustice 3 is confirmed. It's coming. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think this rumor is completely and totally true. I think this voice actor screwed up, said something he wasn't supposed to, and then reached out to the kid after the tweet went viral and tried to get the kid to back off. That doesn't surprise me at all. That's exactly what I think happened. So most likely, boys and girls, it sounds like we are absolutely getting Injustice 3. And a guy who likes Elseworld stories, who gets to have a good time with this, especially when they're well written and make sense like the Injustice universe does, I for one am all for that, boys and girls. So get your Steam wish lists ready. Get your pre-order fingers itching if this is the kind of thing you do. Although honestly, I wouldn't pre-order anything anymore considering all the stuff we've gotten. But Needless to say, get your hype excited, Injustice fans, because boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the lines being recorded as of right now, which means it's only a matter of time before we get Injustice 3, and I, for one, cannot wait. Shout out to Warner Brothers Games, getting back to basics and hopefully making the fans happy, because at the end of the day, we decide what succeeds and what fails. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.